What's up, guys? So today is the anniversary of the death of Emperor Julian, and in remembrance of him, we're going to talk about who Emperor Julian is and why he's an important part of our religious beliefs. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and learn something today. Anyway, check it out. So the reason why Julian is remembered on my channel and in the minds of a lot of Hellenics and those that worship the gods is because he was the last Roman emperor in the whole history of the empire to go back to the belief of polytheism. A few emperors before him had established that Christianity was the state religion. So when Julian came into power, it was he who decided to go back to the religion of his ancestors and bring back the worship of the gods. He would erect pagan temples again, and he would begin worship of the gods of his ancestors and rejected Christianity that was the rising religion of the time. And for this reason, the church gave him the name of Julian the Apostate. So the apostate is the people that reject religion, so that is his name given to him by the Christian church. But us on the other side think of him as a hero who stood up for ancient beliefs and refer to him and honor him on this day of his death, which was a short reign because he only reigned for 3 years. So he went from February 360 until his death on June 26, 363 AD. So they say that Julian was a very complicated person, that he was a military commander, a social reformer, and the man of letters. He was the last non-Christian ruler of the Roman Empire, and he believed that it was necessary to restore the empire's ancient Roman values and traditions in order to save it from its dissolution. So in his mind, he was doing it for good reason, not just to bring back the ancient ways, but he thought he was saving his people because things were not going that great, and so the rising religion and unrest of the people were to blame. So there was more than one reason for this return to the old ways, as we like to say nowadays. In looking at his past and what he did, or looking at history, I'm sure at the time he was also thought of as the Antichrist by Christians, because not only was he bringing back the old religions of the ancient Romans, and in return kind of like the ancient Greek ways as well, but he was also, to help the Jews, he was going to build the third temple, or restore the temple, the Jewish temple, for the third time. Now, people that know Christian mythology would say that that's a good point of him becoming a candidate for what they would think is the Antichrist. So he was not a popular emperor at the time, because if you know Christian mythology and the Bible, then you know that the person that establishes the third temple or raises the third Jewish temple is the setup for the Antichrist. So him bringing back religion of the past, trying to wipe out in their eyes Christianity, and bringing back the Jewish temple would all point to signs of him being Antichrist. So he was not popular, we'll just say that. And he would know that as well, because at the time Christianity was the growing religion. So according to what we can read, he converted from Christianity back to paganism. And according to this, it says that Julian's conversion from Christianity to paganism happened around the age of 20. So looking back on his life in 362, Julian wrote that he spent 20 years in the way of Christianity and 12 in the true way, i.e. the way of Helios. So he would know that from the teachings of Christianity that it would get under the skin of the Christians to build the third temple. So in a way, it relates back to that as well. So it says that Julian began his study in Neoplatism in Asia Minor in 351, under philosophers, and so this is what was interesting. It says that his meeting with Maximus, in which the Theurgist invited him to the temple of Hecate, chanting a hymn, caused the statue of the goddess to smile and laugh, and her torches ignite. Or so it says in the story that this guy told. Reportedly, it told Julian that he must not marvel at any of these things, even as I marvel not, but rather believe the thing of the highest importance is the purification of the soul, which is attained by reason. So that's a huge reason to get back into the ways of the old gods. When you have an experience, whether literal or spiritual, that just reignites the passion for the old ways. So that was the beginning of his return to what they call, and what people call today, paganism, or really polytheism. So after becoming emperor, Julian started a religious reformation of the empire, which was intended to restore the lost strength of the Roman state. He supported the restoration of Hellenistic polytheism as the state religion. His laws tended to target wealthy and educated Christians, and his aim was not to destroy Christianity, but to drive the religion out of the governing classes of the empire. Much like Chinese Buddhism was driven back into the lower classes by revived Confucian Mandarin in the 13th century China. Interesting that he wanted to get the Christianity out of politics, and like I said, interesting stuff. So he restored pagan temples which had been confiscated since Constantine's time, or simply appropriated by wealthy citizens. He repealed the stipend that Constantine had awarded the Christian bishops, and removed their other privileges, including a right to be consulted on appointments and acts of private courts, which is interesting. It's kind of like histories are coming back for full circle. You see a lot of religions trying to get into politics, and you need to go to the church to get approval for certain things. And it's kind of happening not just in the U.S., but in other countries as well, that religion is getting involved in politics and is causing a lot of issues. So Julian's popularity among the non-Christian people in the army during his brief reign suggests that he might have brought back paganism back into the foray of Roman public and private life. In fact, during his lifetime, neither pagan nor Christian ideology reigned supreme, and the greatest thinkers of the day argued about the merits of rationality of each religion. So most importantly for the pagan cause, though, Rome was still a predominantly pagan empire that had not wholeheartedly accepted Christianity. So they were on the fence, and Christianity was rising, but he was trying to ebb the tide, I guess you could say, of the rising Christianity, to try to rein it in, I guess. But it says that even so, Julian's short reign did not stem the tide of Christianity. So the emperor's ultimate failure can arguably be best attributed to the manifold religious traditions and deities that paganism promoted. So most pagans sought religious affiliations that were unique to their culture and people, and they had internal divisions that prevented them from creating any one pagan religion as we would know it. So that's the thing that we know, is that even paganism today, it doesn't have one religion, and that's been the struggle, I guess, because there's so much diversity of what is the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. Unlike Christianity that has, this is how it's done. So its uniqueness is also kind of it's not really a downfall, but a reason why Christianity in the empire kind of took over in the end. It says, indeed, the term pagan was simply a convenient thing to say for Christians to lump together the believers of a system they opposed. So again, like history today, anything that's not Christian is I guess you would say devil worship or pagan. In truth, there was no real Roman religion as we would see it today. Instead, paganism came from a system of observances that one historian has characterized as no more than a spongy mess of tolerance and tradition. So you had an organized religion versus something that had no real organization. So all this came to an end when he happened to die in battle. So for centuries they would debate and say that Christians would like to claim that it was one of his own soldiers that killed him. Some say it was his lack of using caution, that he took his armor off and went to fight in the battle without using the right strategy, and it cost him his life. And he didn't immediately die. They say that he was injured and treated, but he died like 3 days later, which ended all the efforts of bringing back polytheism or paganism into the Roman state, because his successor, Julian, brought back Christianity and restored everything that Julian took away. So it was an attempt that didn't last long, because once he died, it kind of died with him. So it was said of his life by Libanius, as said in his epitaph of Julian, it says that, "I have mentioned representations of Julian. Many cities have set him beside the images of the gods and honor him as they do the gods. Already a blessing has been brought and besought of him in prayer, and it was not in vain." So that's nice. To such an extent he has literally ascended to the gods and received a share of their power from him themselves. So that was a nice little thing to say. Anyway, the big deal is that so that was Emperor Julian, and so you see, and it's an interesting life. There's never really been any movies made, but you can research his life and history. And the term Hellenismos came from Emperor Julian. So it wraps up this video, and go investigate, research, and read about Emperor Julian, because I can go on and read more, but let you guys do that. And let's just think of him and think of what he's done, and we can look at history again and see how much it repeats. And we owe the term Hellenismos to Emperor Julian. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys like this video, find it interesting, and I'll talk to you later.